In this video, I'm going to share with you 7 critical steps that you should take as you finalize your financial statements. You've done your accounting all year, you've worked really hard to make sure that's right, and now it's finally time to pull together those annual financial statements. If you'll use these 7 steps, it will help ensure that your financial statements are in compliance with professional standards and that they are correct, and it's going to make you look even better. So, first step, I would agree the financial statements back to the trial balance. Now, as you created the financial statements, you used the trial balance to do so. You probably have grouping codes. You've used those grouping codes to come up with subtotals that feed into the financials. All I'm saying here, as you finalize this report, go back and you could tick and tie every number if you don't have electronic links going into the financials, but even then, I would think about ticking and tying all these numbers. One of the things I do is I make sure my net income number agrees with the financials. That tells me a lot. So agree the numbers in the financial statements back to your trial balance. The second thing I would do is vet the financial statements with a current disclosure checklist. Now, you may have used this disclosure checklist to create the financials. If you have, you're good. If you haven't, then I would use a current disclosure checklist to vet these financial statements. Professional standards, whether with the FASB or the GASB, and those are the bodies giving us the U.S. accounting standards, they're constantly evolving. So if we're not looking at a disclosure checklist, we might miss something that's really important. Step number 3, this sounds simple, but it's so important. Check the math. So in most CPA firms, and even in industry, we go back and we foot all the numbers. Now, foot means to add, so when I say foot, I'm saying add all the numbers. Tick and tie the numbers to make sure they're in agreement. There's nothing more embarrassing than to have a column of numbers and then there's a total that it doesn't add. The math is wrong. So get somebody to check the math. I know that more and more there are features in audit software that will do this for you. So if you've got that, you're probably good. Maybe you would not need a person to go back and put all the numbers, but just make sure the math is correct. Now, number 4 also sounds pretty simple, but it's so important, is look at the formatting. So all these financial statements, they have a table of contents. I go back, make sure those titles agree, the page numbers agree. I look at the fonts used throughout the financial statements. You don't want your balance sheet using one font and your statement of cash flows using another. So you want continuity throughout those financial statements. Same thing in the notes to the financials. We shouldn't see different types of fonts from note to note. It should be pretty consistent. Also, you want to check alignment, so you want to make sure the numbers in a column all align properly. You want to do the same in the notes. So if you've got a little table in the notes, those numbers should align. The headers should center. So check the formatting. Most public accounting firms have a clerical person or persons that review formatting before the financials get too far down the stages. You want to do this early, but check the formatting. So what's the next step? And we're going to step number 5 is have a professional, the second person, review the financial statements. So I'm a CPA. I put thousands of financial statements together, but you know what? when I put financials together, I'm going to have another person review what I have done. We have blind spots when we create things and they're wrong, and that blind spot would continue to exist even if I reviewed my own work. Oftentimes I wouldn't catch my mistake. So have a second professional review the financial statements for compliance with professional standards such as FASB or GASB accounting standards. Okay, let's go to number 6, and that is have the client review the financial statements. Now, at the moment, I'm talking to public accounting people, and public accounting firms, if they're doing your audit, they often put together the financial statements. So if that's the case, and you're the auditor, make sure you give the financial statements to your client. They ultimately have responsibility for the financial statements, so they should review and assume responsibility for those. And hey, it's another check. It's another set of eyes to see whether or not we've done everything as we should have. And we'll come into step number 7. Can I get a drum roll? That is check for other reporting requirements. So if you've got a government, you put the financial statements together, maybe you have a yellow book requirement. So if you do, you'll want a yellow book report with the financial statements. If there's a single audit, you're going to have other information such as the schedule of expenditures. If you're an SEC company, you probably want to use another checklist and make sure you're in compliance with standards there. Sometimes you'll have lenders like a bank that have special requirements. You want to make sure those have been met. So if you follow these 7 steps before you finalize your financial statements, it's going to be much more probable that everything is okay. And I want you to look good. If you use these 7 steps, then I think you will. Until I see you in the next video, take care and bye now.